In 22 BBY, Separatist leader Newt Gunray was captured by Commander Gree and the awesomeness of the 41st Elite Corps. Palpatine cried about it not being part of his plans, and Dooku sent in boarding ships to attack a single Republic Star Destroyer that the Jedi in their infinite wisdom deemed good enough to transport a high-value target. Anyway, the Separatists decided that clones were way too strong for regular battle droids and sent in only B-2 droids and super battle droids. Green Leader had a moment where he turned his back on the B-2s to politely talk on his comlink, but was tragically shot in the back because the B-2 was so rude and didn't let him finish his call. A single 41st Elite Corps trooper was able to survive the entire first wave of the B-2 droids, so that the Separatists had to deploy a Force user to kill him because he was that indestructible. Regardless, Commander Gree and the boys succeeded in repelling the droid attack because they're just that good at their jobs. They then went to Gunray's cell, where Senate commandos clearly weren't doing their jobs right, as Gunray had been released by Ventress, and at the first sight of Gree and his men, Ventress fled like a little wuss, and Gunray went right back to his cell. They then have the lame task of guarding Newt Gunray in prison because the Senate commandos couldn't do anything right. Commander Gree is literally all the Republic needed to guard Gunray, but instead they insisted on having Captain Argyus there with two pointless Senate commandos. Argyus betrayed the Republic and killed the two blaster bolt soakers, while Gree beat up Argyus. However, the traitor had used Gunray as a shield, and Gree basically ignored the Neimoidian as he had some epic banter with Argyus as he proved that clones were way better than Senate commandos. So, in actuality, Gunray would then escape and return to the Separatists. So with that 100% accurate summary, the question has to be asked. What if Gunray remained captured by the Republic throughout the Clone Wars, and the Senate commandos weren't complete and utter morons? To start, the Republic will not be lured into the trap at the lair of Grievous by Gunray's escape. The obvious change would be that Commander Phil and his epic squad are not going to Vasek. When they did go, the clones did all the work in injuring Grievous before being tragically killed by the idiocy of Nadar Veb. Therefore, Phil and the boys are the Republic's A-team in dealing with high-value targets throughout the rest of the Clone Wars. Meanwhile, Nadar Veb still dies like the wimp he is. Ventress would of course die after failing to release Gunray. The Separatists are kinda gonna go in full panic mode, as although Gunray is a coward and easily replaceable, he was still on the Separatist Council. Also, Palpatine is terrified about the fact that Gunray knows that he is Darth Sidious. And knowing how much of a coward the Viceroy is, Palpatine sweats nervously, knowing that Gunray will spill the beans immediately. With this, Palps has two real options. Either make a second attempt to rescue Gunray, or eliminate the Viceroy through assassination. Now, I personally think that since the first rescue mission failed spectacularly, and combined with the fact that Commander Phil and the boys are ready to fight at a moment's notice, Palpatine goes with option 2, assassination. Newt Gunray is charged with war crimes, and Palpatine again has two choices for how to kill Gunray. Either immediately sentence him to death to be swift and use all of his political power, but the cons here are that it will be very suspicious to the Jedi who would really want to interrogate him on stuff like Sidious and the events of the Phantom Menace. On the other hand, Palpatine can have Gunray killed in prison to stage it to look like a suicide, which is what I think the more likely course of action is. With that, the Republic is embarrassed that they can't put him through a trial or interrogate him. As for the effects on the courts of the war, Gunray himself had very little impact on the Separatists, with the exception of the Trade Federation fleet being loaned to Cad Bane after the holocron and memory crystal theft. Regardless, I think that Lot Dodd is made the Viceroy of the Trade Federation, and things go pretty similar to how they went in the actual Clone Wars on that front. Now, the main change is that Commander Phil and his squad are alive. No doubt that Phil is present on high-value missions, which decreases the clone casualties at places like the Citadel and other major battles. He then joins Windu to arrest Palpatine during the event of Revenge of the Sith, where he immediately guns down the Chancellor when he whipped out the red lightsaber, and therefore Commander Phil has now saved the galaxy. But this is all, of course, just my opinion. What do you think would have happened had Newt Gunray remained captured by the 41st Elite Corps during the Clone Wars? Let me know in the comments, and thank you for watching.